Hello there, divine loving greetings. It's me, Alura. Welcome back to Spiritually Awkward. So this week, we're going to address the topic of sex. So sex is a huge topic because, we could look at this in so many different ways. I mean, there are so many sexual preferences. There are so many sexual positions. And sex itself is usually, something that's supposed to be used as a sacred union with somebody that you really, truly love. However, in our world today, it seems that a lot of people are just really into having sex for the feeling of it and not so much for the loving aspect anymore. So, sex. Let's talk about the divine twin flame first, because the twin flame is a subject that many people really don't understand. When your twin flame is trying to catch up to that same tonal frequency of existence with you, there is a lot of chaos and commotion that comes with it. And that means that they may have a lot of karma, they may have a lot of lessons that they're still learning to work out. And if you're not on that same tonal frequency, what's going to happen is that it's going to end up unbalancing the couple instead of having the balance. They call it twin, but it's not always twin yet. It's opposition. And that's usually why you meet your twin flame, because it's meant to help you to reflect off of one another like a mirror. And obviously that's right reverse. So it's the opposite of who you are. And that's what people don't get. They think that they're going to meet somebody that's identical to them. Now, granted, they will when both in the relationship of the twin flame come to ascend and awaken and they're on the same page. And that takes a lot of work. It really does. You have to have the same intellect. You have to work towards the same, telepathic connection. You have to have the same interests. And a lot of the lessons that you both have learned will have been very similar too. You will have had similar relationship settings, and you will have had a lot of different trauma within your lives. It may not be exact, but it will be exact in the nature of the lesson. So when you finally ascend to that and two twin flames come together, it is an amazing thing. It really is. Otherwise, it's arguments, misunderstandings, but the love is fierce. And usually it doesn't last. And that's because there's just too much. One twin flame still learning their lessons, or both. And usually what will happen is there's a lot of infidelity, or perhaps someone is still on that path of, trying to find themselves. And in that path of individuality, they're not looking to get on the same tonal frequency. They're getting closer. They just may not realize it. Not yet. So you have to have that realization when you're in that twin flame relationship, because if you don't realize that you're twin flames, and you don't realize, that everything that you're going through reflects off of the other person, it's not just about you, then you might as well forget the relationship altogether, because it's just going to be a roller coaster ride, up and down, all along the way. Then frustration set in. Usually, the one twin flame or yourself will be very self-focused, self-centered, self-based. And a lot of choices and decisions are all going to be about the individual, not the reflection work. And that's why a lot of twin flame relationships don't work out nowadays. So when you do get to the same tonal frequency, though, it is an amazing thing. The sexual vibration between two twin flames is phenomenal. You feel this magnetic pull. And it's not just feeling attraction, because any attraction is like a magnetic pull. But when you come to embrace your twin flame, it fills your heart, and it gets your heart fluttering with adrenaline to where you actually feel a sense of being high. And it's very, very true. And then when you come into that sexual union with them and you're joining that high, that adrenaline, that love and lust, because it's a mixture of both of those things, it really does start to heighten the Kundalini energy. And if it's working on both halves, the Kundalinis of both of you are coming up and merging into one. And then that makes the divine union. Now, it's not like that for every twin flame that's making love. It's the truth. If you're not on the same vibration, if you haven't reached that twin flame reflective work yet to where now you're understanding each other perfectly, totally, you may just have that very lustful feel, but that union of the Kundalini serpentine energy isn't going to work. One of you is going to feel totally void of it, and one may feel it for themselves, because one person in the twin flame relationship in those situations is always going to be a little bit more awake, a little bit more alert than the other. They know how they feel. They know how it makes them feel, but the other person just may not be there yet. And if it is still self-focused instead of the reflective work, what's going to happen is the one person's going to be focused on making themselves feel good and not so much the other. So a lot of people in those types of relationships that aren't there yet, they long for that person to know where they're coming from. They long to know, that that person understands them, that they don't have to tell them how they feel. They also, crave a lot of affection, a lot of attention. And people in those relationships also, are looking for the knowledge that they have that psychic connection. They want that person to always be right there in their heart, in their mind. And if you are on the same tonal frequency, you should be. And that's the truth. That's why it's called twin. But the thing that bothers me the most is that they don't talk about that very much out there. They just put the term twin out there. People read about it and then they're like, oh, I want that one person that matches me totally, fully, truly. And they may have their twin flame sitting right next to them, but that feeling and that understanding and the awareness isn't there yet, because what a lot of teachers are leaving out is that you're not a twin until you are the mirror. You have to be the mirror first. And you'll face a lot of those mirrors, in other lessons and other people along the way. It's true. But the point is that both of you are going through similar and the same things. And it reaches at some point where you come together and you learn the remainder of those lessons together so that you can be equal, totally equal, not a reflection anymore, just the same. So the sex it's amazing, because that adrenaline that's traveling up both of the Kundalini energies in your bodies, it is better than anything you will have ever experienced. It will make you, if you have an addictive personality, you're going to get addicted to it really fast. You're just going to want it all the time, want more and more. And it doesn't even matter how you look. It doesn't matter how that person sees you, if they have a particular preference. When you meet somebody that makes you feel that way, it's all about, not about what's here. It's about what's in here, how the person makes you feel mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. And that's a big thing, because the sexuality within a relationship like that is so important. It's so important. When you have that as a twin flame couple, you're not going to want to cheat. You're not even going to have the mentality to think of cheating, because you're aligned mentally, you're both feeling the same things, you understand each other psychically, you pick up on the same things in the environment to where you're both understanding what you see and experience together. And then you have the sexual aspect that just raises the roof of all things. And now you know that you're fully and totally complete. You can be yourself, you can do the things that you like to do, you can experiment with that person because they're the same exact way. So what about sex with other people that aren't your twin flame? Well, of course you're going to want to experiment. You're going to want to understand your body. And being with other people, you come to learn about things about your body. And then when you do get to be with your twin flame, it's amazing, because you see that partner gives to you what none of the other partners did. They give you a feeling that's like a full body orgasm, because it's not only felt, in your sexual region, the adrenaline itself that's exchanged between the two of you is orgasmic. So you're having the physical pleasure and you have that heightened energy high in the pleasure too, that it's just something that you've never experienced with anybody else. They know your body. It fits together perfectly. to where you're not struggling or trying to force yourself to feel pleasure. You don't have to, get that person to try extra hard either, because you fit so perfectly with one another. And then the heightened arousal and adrenaline adds to that, to where the experience it's amazing. And that makes that divine union, because as the Kundalini energies are flowing and twisting, you're connecting through higher self energy too up there. And that's an amazing thing. It makes a divine marriage. You're basically sealing yourself together. Now, I know that some religions talk about sealing rituals, especially the Latter-day Saints, and they have their very own way of doing like a spiritual sealing ritual, which is done through the marriage. It's like marrying, each other, but you're promising that your souls will follow, through all eternity with one another, which is such a very beautiful, beautiful ceremony. It really is. But I always felt, and this is just how I see it. I'm not, telling anybody that they're wrong, but what I see it is that when you have merged your higher self energy like that with the love, with all of those spirit bodies, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, sexually, when you merge all those together, that is when you are officially sealed, because now you have reached that maximum in your existence, that you have found somebody that reaches your tonal frequency so perfectly that the two beams of light from higher self to avatar match, to where it enforces the energy, it picks it up, it ascends, it's excelling. And that's an amazing thing, because now you not only have the energy of just you, but you have it double time. It's double time. It makes you a power couple. You can do anything. Manifestation, law of attraction. It becomes something that is so amazing. And that is why we talk about Christ consciousness. That's why we talk about, the Vesica Pisces, in the seat of life. Because all of that is a representation of the male and the female power merging together as one, at that double force of energy. But your blueprints have to be the same to do it. And that's why that reflection work throughout that process of life, through reincarnation, to learn to get there. And then that last bit of time that you learn, those last few lessons together too, it's so essential, it's so important. And a lot of people, like I said, they don't make it into twin flame relationships during the reflection phases, but that's okay too. It's hurtful. You have to learn to forgive and understand, that your twin flame may not be where you are yet. Let go. Of course, they're going to come back to you, whether this lifetime or the next. And there's so many other lessons and experiences and soulmates to meet in the process. But having sex with other individuals, during that time, throughout your life and through the experimental process, you are making something of energy cords, and you're making those sexual attachments because you're sharing the physical form and any exchange within the physical form. You're also exchanging the heightened energy of just the lust and the infatuation, because there's a big difference between true love and then lust. And a lot of people don't understand that. They believe that infatuation is love, and it's not. Infatuation is where you're looking at somebody and you want to be with them all the time. You can't stop thinking about them. You feel that sexual attraction. You want to be with them always because you're so attracted to them. You may have some things in common, but at the end of the day, true love is where you can go through a battlefield with that person. You would die for that person. Now, there is a scripture in the Bible that talks about true love, and I'll put it right here. And that is what real love is between two partners. And if you don't have that from the other person, or you're not showing it to them, then it's not true love at all. It's an infatuation. And the infatuation process is short-lived. It can last maybe a year or two, sometimes longer if you get too emotionally attached that you're not letting go in the relationship, which is very unhealthy. But most of the time it doesn't go beyond a 2-year time limit. And you have that cord of all that karmic energy, and then the sexual energy too, that you have to carry around with you. And you do take that, into the twin flame relationship as well, which is why a lot of twin flames are very insecure when they come to meet one another. chakras are like plugs. They're spiritual centers. They're pulling energy in, flowing energy out from the environment, from all of the connections that you do have. But what it is when you're actually having sex with somebody is that you're activating the root chakra, and then it does travel up to the navel too. So you have those two spiritual centers that are highly active, and then sometimes a little bit in the third eye, as you get like a little bit of that dopamine rush through the sexual act and the orgasm as well. But the whole reason for it is that when you're with your divine partner, you have that activation in the root that triggers that energy spiral for that tantric sex. But a lot of people don't understand that, and they're really just making their root and their navel chakras overactive. And that's why a lot of people only center on that feeling. They only get that arousal down there, or that will stimulate sexual thoughts from the subconscious mind. And then you find a lot of people that have trouble with masturbation or pornography and needing a lot of fulfillment in those areas because the chakra is overstimulated from having other partners, knowing what it feels like. And because it's only the root and the navel in that area, you're only going to feel the sensations there. When you feel the sensation, it triggers the thought, and now you have sex on your mind. You need to release it. Masturbation comes into play, or trying to hook up with somebody, and now you're just adding to that. You're making it worse. You're adding more energy cords. You're overstimulating those two chakras, because if you don't have your divine partner for the energy to rise, flow, and release, the energy is going to pent up, and it's going to build up, and it's going to stay right in those two spiritual centers all of the time. Without any release upward, then you're going to have a problem. You're going to have sexual addiction. And a lot of people don't realize that. And when they do have multiple partners, there's a lot of promiscuity. It leads to a lot of sexual addiction and a lot of sexual thoughts being triggered. It's true. You have to have the release of the energy traveling upward through that tantric flame. And that's why you even have the root chakra to begin with, which grounds you, in life, to earth, and also through your earth star too. But when you're making love, when that energy is activated, it needs to rise up in that divine partnership, not stay stuck here. Why doesn't it travel upward with other partners? Well, because each chakra is on its own frequency for every person. It's different for every person. But when you meet your twin flame, the chakras are the same frequencies in all the chakras between the two of you, to where they can match. Those frequencies have to match for them to work together, to connect together. And that's the divine union. So sex is a very serious natured thing. There's STDs, and a lot of people are very confused about their sexual preferences. And with the overstimulation of those areas, even through projected subliminals and thoughts in television, music, seeing other people that are projecting that sexual image, it can start to trigger activation in the root chakra, even in childhood, to where it carries you into a promiscuous, teenage journey of trying to explore your sexuality and find out who you are. But the point of the matter is that you're never going to feel really ever sexually fulfilled unless you're with that divine marriage. It's the truth. All those chakras, same frequencies, balanced. You're the twin, and you merge together, and it flows upward. And that's the definition of real sealing, and the definition of the tantric flame. And the sex is incredible. But sex with other partners can be enjoyable, believe me. But remember, you are making energy cords. You are taking a risk for pregnancy and STDs. And you are overworking those chakras so much that it could lead, to having imbalances in those areas, and then imbalances in your thoughts, and then your lifestyle too. So thank you so much for watching. I love you all so very much, and I will see you next episode.